Hi everyone, welcome back to Get a Brew. So today I'm in Stansted Abbots in the beautiful French Jupps maltings. I'm joined by Paul, the Managing Director, and Doug, the Business Development Manager. And we're going to introduce you to an exciting range of crystal and roasted and patent specialty malts. So Doug, could you start by taking us through what way we're going to taste the malts, first of all?
We've got two kinds of malts here. We've got a tea infusion in the big glasses. That's just malt ground up and added to water at 65 degrees C, and then it's filtered. It makes basically like a tea.
Yeah.
In the smaller shot glasses, we have ground up malt, and we've added it to alcohol at known levels, and which brings out different flavours in the malt, and that's a cold process.
What length of time do you infuse the tea for?
The tea is a 15-minute infusion.
Okay.
You strike it with, it's 50 grams, it's an American method, 50 grams of ground up malt, 400 mils of water at 65 degrees, and you shake it to make sure that the whole of the malt is wetted, and then after 10 minutes you shake it again, and then after 15 minutes you filter it.
Okay.
It's as simple as that.
Just through a coffee filter, for example?
These are actually not coffee filters, they're the actual recommended filters that we use in the laboratory.
Okay.
We have to use the recommended filters as a standard, so everybody's doing the same thing across the industry. Yeah.
And the distilled version, is that filtered as well?
Yes, it is filtered again through these, but they stay clear because the alcohol preserves them. With these, if you leave these, they will just go off. So they have to be prepared fresh, which is why we don't take these to exhibitions, because you have to make them up before you go, and after 2 days they're not very palatable. But these they'll keep like a whiskey in a bottle for years.
Yeah. And the reason you do this obviously is to help with descriptors and the flavour profile of the malts that you supply. So would you recommend that brewers should be doing this to help with recipe development? Is that the idea?
We did it ourselves. We used an independent company to actually do flavour evaluation for us. They had a team of expert tasters in. So basically, if a brewer gets hold of one of our manuals or he looks online, he can look at the malt, and the flavours are all in there, and the intensity as well. So you can say, oh, I'll put that in with this beer or that beer, or I won't use that one for that because it hasn't got the flavours I'm looking for. So it takes a lot of guesswork out for the brewers. We hopefully have helped the brewers in that way by doing that.
But we would encourage brewers to make malt teas in the same way that they make a hop tea routinely. I just think it's great for their education and for recipe development. And then it also becomes very interesting once they start looking at layering malts to really build, kind of the beer they're looking for. So we really would encourage brewers to do this.
I'm really excited to try it. So where do we start then?
Well, I think just dive in.
Well, we start on the right hand side, and what we've got here is we've got a standard crystal malt. And
is that my right as well?
Yes, on your right there. So standard crystal malt, the colour of about 150 IOB. And what we're looking for here is you're getting some lovely golden syrup notes, very, very pleasant. And the syrupness, it develops into some lovely darker fruits, so prunes, dates, raisins. But it carries that lovely sweetness all the way through. Very, very, very pleasant malt.
There's almost like a little. You're getting like almost like a little bit of fig or something along those
very
lines,
much.
Exactly. And that's one of the flavours that's been identified. And these are flavours, the dried fruit flavours. The 200 crystal really emphasises that. And they're really, brewers love the flavours.
That's delicious. You could drink that.
Oh, it's
That's like a
absolutely
cold brew
delicious.
drink, you know.
And then as you progress through our crystal range, so this is a standard crystal, so sitting within the middle of our kind of crystal colour range. Once you move on to the more darker side, to the dark and extra dark crystal malts, you suddenly start seeing a lot of treacle notes come through, and the dried fruit notes change as well, become a bit more pronounced.
You have a wide range of crystals, so take us briefly through the range. I know it starts at 70 and goes right up to 400. So.
Yeah, I mean, don't.
Well, crystal is a generic term. It's the term used for the very sweet malts, and in fact, Caras are crystals which just haven't been heated up as much. So Cara Gold, even, it's all made the same way. So Cara Gold to Crystal 400, all made the same way. It's just the length of time and the heat given to it to convert the sugar into a light product or a dark product. The whole process takes 7 days. So if you steep on a Monday, you don't roast until the following Monday. With that, it has to be grown. The conversion from starch to sugar has to happen within the germination process. The amylase gets working as it starts to root and shoot. Then it goes over to the roasting drums, and it gets dried off, finished off, and depending on what kind of malt we're looking for will depend on how long we roast and what temperature as we've seen today.
You also have the ability, you can do a crystal to any colour here really that someone wants as well. And it's just all about, what I really liked with the experience of talking to the team is the people and how they care about the quality. And talking to Andy, he was very interesting to say, you can't teach a machine to do this. You know, and when it got near the end of the roasting process, he's running back and forward, checking constantly. And you can see there's just an attention to detail there that shows he really loves what he does. It comes through really well. So in terms of the tasting, do we work our way through the tea?
Yeah, so work on from the right hand side, and then we'll move from the wonderful standard crystal malt into our patent range.
Okay.
And you'll see a dramatic shift in flavours, obviously colour as well. But so I mean the crystal we've already looked at, and I think it's interesting to progress from crystal to amber, and very quickly you'll see a very, very different type of malt. And I think if I look at our range of 14 malts that we offer, I have two personal favourites, and I like amber and brown. I think they're underrated. I think they have enormous potential, and I think you'll see that in this class here.
Before we move on to the amber, the crystals, what do you recommend brewers would be using that for in relation to beer styles? And can you give a guide on dosage rates, percentage dosage?
I mean, dosage rates can and do vary considerably, but from a few percentage points up to 7, 8, 9, 10%. So somewhere within that range, but very much depend on the style of beer you're looking to produce. But crystals, again, I've in my brewing career, in my past, I've used crystal malt to very good effect in lovely lagers, just to give that very pleasant fruitiness and unique character. But then obviously, typically as you go into some of the lovely ales, and some of the wonderful brewers that we support that make some amazing ales, from light ales all the way through to porters and stouts. Crystal plays a part in all, and can do very well, but at varying percentages and the different styles of crystals we offer. But again, with crystal, I think what's very interesting with crystal, when you get into some of the more complex ales, is to layer those crystal malts to really pull out the notes as a brewer that you're looking for. Whether it's golden syrup, whether it's specific dried fruit notes, or more treacle character. I think that's really where it becomes very, very interesting, is to layer the crystal malts.
And you guys have invested a lot in, you'd mentioned the sensory aspect of the flavour, so all of those sensory wheels and charts are available on the website? Yeah,
they're available there online. And the brewer can go onto our website and put in terms that they're looking for in their beer, descriptors, and that will guide them towards the one or two of the malts that they perhaps could consider.
Yeah.
Just coming back to the malts, I was talking to a brewer earlier, last year in fact, and he uses in one of his beers 10 different types of malt.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
And I was blown away by that. And some of it's 0.5%.
Yeah.
And that sort of thing. And I'm thinking, does it really make that much difference to flavour and colour? And
Yeah.
it does.
Yeah.
It really is a big contributor to a beer.
Yeah.
And sometimes just a 0.5% here, 0.5% there can make a difference between a prize-winning beer and
Yeah.
a run-of-the-mill.
It's funny you should say that. We obviously a big part of our business homebrew, and I watch some of the custom kits that come in from homebrewers, and they try to put everything in it, and then you get talking to some of the guys who are looking a bit of help or support, and I'm like, sometimes less can be more, you know.
Yeah.
But equally, if you're doing a barley wine or something, it's nice to have all of those different complexities and layers of flavours in there. It's just, I think, understanding the malt, there's obviously going to be malts that everyone goes, oh right, I need a malt for head retention, right, I'll put that in there.
Yeah.
And then, but I need one for body. Maybe that malt type will do both, so they don't need the separator. But you do see some incredible diversity.
That's what it's all about. Yeah. So now we're moving on to a brown malt, and a brown malt is a very historic malt, and often described as drum brown. And again, probably one of our rarest malts, and certainly one of my favourites. I think what you see when you look at the brown malt tea, again, you get some lovely kind of dried fruit notes, but what really jumps out to me is that very pleasant malty, biscuity note, with some nut character as well. Perhaps hazelnut in there, but very, very unique, very special. And wonderful in some mid-range ales, brown ales, very, very special malt. Yeah, quite a rare malt.
It's got such a smooth flavour as well. Like it's caramel.
Oh, it's just beautiful. Yeah. It's rounded. It's it's very versatile malt. Yeah.
The way they used to make brown malt here many years ago in the 50s, it used to be done on the kiln.
Yeah.
But it was wood fired, and they used to get faggots of hornbeam and just do a simple layer, light them, and then somebody would have to watch the whole time to make sure there were no flames. And if there was, he would get a bucket of water and a can, and he would put water on to blow it out. So it's just embers heating, and you used to get a smokiness to it. But that was just about the darkest malt that can be made by using a kiln. Yeah. And they stopped making that way in the 60s.
What do you want to move on to?
Well, let's move on next to chocolate malt. Again, probably one of our perhaps most popular malts, and again, very unique character.
A lot of distilleries using this at the moment.
Yeah.
I've noticed, which is fantastic. It's an area that we're really excited to explore a little bit more.
Yeah. Again, you see some very unique characters here, but I guess up front what you do see is some lovely, rich espresso coffee notes, which very much up front, very, very pleasant. But beneath that, you do get that lovely, luxurious dark chocolate.
It's pretty delicate at the back end of the
palate. But it lingers, and it's so pleasant, which is I think why a lot of distillers are going that way and looking at chocolate malt first. Yeah. And I'm sure they'll look maybe more widely in the future. Yeah. But chocolate malt certainly is the one that they're working very well with at the moment. I like specialty coffee, and you do get that espresso sort of note off that initially, but it's delicate at the back end of it. You know, your palate as it sort of works its way around your mouth. The aroma is very, it's very roasty.
In the 70s, coffee prices went sky high, and a company called Lyons, who make coffee, came to Guy and said, can we bulk it up with barley? So it's 75% coffee and 25% malt. And the malt they used was chocolate malt. Yeah. And until a couple of years ago, I actually had, it was open, but a tin, and it actually said on the tin, roasted barley.
Yeah.
And the reason why they had to say roasted barley was because if they put chocolate malt, people would expect a chocolate flavour.
Yeah.
So technically it is a roasted barley, but it's been malted, and it was actually the chocolate malt that was used to bulk up coffee because it didn't take away from the flavour or anything.
Yeah.
It was short-lived. Coffee prices came down, and the problem went away.
Yeah. No, it's very pleasant, very smooth. You can see how you could use that in lots of different beer styles.
But we would encourage brewers, to those brewers that are using chocolate malt today is then maybe look at our portfolio of chocolate malts. Maybe look at pale chocolate and also light chocolate.
Yeah.
Light chocolate is our newest chocolate in the range, so much paler in colour. Flavour characteristics slightly different, lighter, maybe more milk chocolate notes coming through.
Yeah.
Quite different. So we would recommend a wider look at the chocolate range.
And it is growing. More and more brewers are asking for the lighter chocolates as well.
Yeah, very popular.
When I joined the company, we made chocolate malt. That was it.
Yeah.
And now we're doing light and pale chocolate, and they're saying, "Oh, can we have it at that colour? Can we have it at the 400 end rather than the 600 end of the range or something?"
Yeah.
And so they know what they're using it for, and they know to get the most now from it.
And it can be very good for colour adjustment and red ales and things as well.
It can be amazing, but definitely to red ales. But very interestingly, I think even in relatively light lagers.
Yeah.
And one of our largest customers does use a percentage of chocolate malt in a very large selling lager.
Right. Okay.
To very, very good effect. Just because a little bit of character on flavour, but also just adjust the colour slightly as well. So it's very versatile malt. Right across the range of beer styles, from light lagers all the way up to classic stouts.
Yeah. And moving on to the last, is that our roast barley? Isn't it?
Well, the last one actually is black malt.
Black, right,
So again, this is a real heavy malt, kicks with a punch, and
It's lovely aroma. I like that. If you like coffee, I think you like dark and roasted flavours. Those sort of.
Very powerful malts. And what we find is, once you move on from chocolate malt onto black, you tend to lose some of the harshness. So it tends to mellow out.
Strange, isn't it?
The chocolate malt carries a very pleasant bitterness, which I think can work very well in a wide range of ales in conjunction with the hops. But black malt just suddenly mellows out. It's just gone that little bit further in the process, and you end up with a product that carries wonderful smokiness, barbecue coals, but it's very pleasant. It doesn't have a lingering bitterness. It just cleans out, and it's delicious.
I was really surprised. Exactly what you're saying there is what you guys won't get it on the camera, but it is so smooth. Really surprised.
And it's with the brown and the black, they are very versatile malts. I was shocked when a brewer said he puts it in his pale malt, black in pale malt, very small percentage, so it doesn't alter the colour that much, but he wants that flavour.
Really, really, really nice, well-rounded malty flavour.
We find it's also very popular. I mean, while we do, we're very focused in the world of brewing as a business. We are slightly diverse. We do support the baking industry as well, and probably our biggest seller is black malt into the world of baking and artisan flours.
This is a very interesting way to taste flavours and malts. I'm going to be exploring this a bit more myself. I really have enjoyed this. Thank you. Very taken at just the level of flavour you can get from a very simple tabletop test, really, because that's where you've tested it there.
Exactly.
So do we try the spirit version now?
I think we should go along. So similar spirits. All we've got in the middle here, though, instead of the brown, we've got an amber here. But we're starting off with crystal, and we go amber.
So you don't get an aroma with the distilled one the same way as you do with the
You get a slight aroma. It's perhaps not so intense, but you get more perhaps on flavour, and probably pulling out slightly different flavours as well. Perhaps a little bit more intense.
Oh wow! I say, I really get what you mean now. Yeah.
So I think what we're seeing more there, you get a lot of the dried fruit notes coming out
Totally,
on
yeah.
the palates, and it just showcases the malt in a slightly different way,
Yeah.
but very pleasant.
Such an interesting way to taste malt. Yeah. Why have we not been doing this before? So, yeah. So who was it that introduced you to this, Doug?
It was somebody I used to work with many years ago,
Okay, yeah.
and he was doing a project for somebody.
Yeah.
He's a freelance.
You don't have to say names, it's sorry.
Yeah, I'm not too sure if he'd like me to say, because he's so busy at the moment. It's
Yeah.
unreal.
Yeah.
I messaged him about rum, and he says, "Oh, I can't take any more work on."
Yeah.
But there's all sorts of things going on with putting malt into spirits now.
Yeah.
And drawing out the flavours. As you can tell, it really does something to the flavour. It enhances it. The flavours are still there, but it changes the dynamics of it.
Yeah. I love cooking. We've talked to you about this before,
Yeah.
Paul. And I find if you like cooking, you like combining and experimenting flavours and techniques. Brewing is very much the same.
Yes.
So if you know how to taste something and describe those flavours and profiles, then you know how to blend them.
Exactly.
And yes, there's rule of thumbs, but I could see how you could get 10 different malts and you could taste them this way and go, that would work with this, and that would work. And then you could try a blend and go, really create something special, So yeah, this has been really a pleasant surprise to learn.
Yeah.
This is one of your favourites, Paul?
Yeah, it's one of my favourites. So along with the brown malt we looked at earlier, this is an amber malt, so lighter in colour, so colour of around 30.
That's really, really nice.
So with the brown malt, we were seeing malty, biscuity notes. What we're seeing more with the amber, we get lovely caramel notes,
Yeah.
lovely dried fruit, and pleasant nuttiness
Yeah.
on the amber. So a beautiful malt.
The nuttiness really comes through for me. I'm getting
Very
that a
much.
lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the aroma on that there, I can pick it up a lot more than with the standard crystal.
I think so. Yeah.
That could be used in such a diverse range of beers.
Absolutely. I think an underrated malt. I think it's there for the brewers. I think please experiment and have fun with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, look, if you're watching this and you're a commercial brewer and you want some samples from us, just reach out and we'll happily we'll get you some of the lovely literature and some samples as well. We would love to see more of our Irish brewers using these specialty malts, and especially now that we know the best way to get the flavour to shine out of them.
Yeah.
Chocolate then?
Yes. So moving on to chocolate again, we looked at it earlier in a tea form. This is obviously with the spirit, and I think here you tend to see obviously that coffee notes, espresso coffee notes up front, but then that lovely long lingering chocolate, dark chocolate finish is really, really special, I think.
It's quite balanced as well, that sort of dark chocolate you're definitely getting, that in the back end of it. Yeah. Like a silkiness is almost coming through in that spirit there. Yeah. So,
the term we use is luxurious, and I think it really is. It's got that luxurious long finish, and it's with a little bit of bitterness there, which is pleasant.
You could nearly sell that. I think
you could.
It's that good. Yeah,
wouldn't that be great? Any of them actually, I think. Really, but this one in particular, I think. Wow.
Yeah. Right. So
I'm going to finish on the black malt here. So obviously it's in terms of our malt range, carries the highest colour. So an IOB 1200 plus. So it really is a powerful malt. I think that comes through here as well.
That is delicious. Really, really good.
I think it's spectacular.
Yeah.
It's mellow. It's rounded. It doesn't carry any lingering harshness, bitterness.
There's no bitterness in that. Yeah.
It's just delicious.
Yeah.
And works beautifully in a wide range of beers, but it's obviously especially in lovely stouts along with chocolates, and maybe one of our lighter colour patents.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
I think stout doesn't get the credit that it deserves. It is like to mention the big G, obviously the scale at which they operate is mind blowing.
Yes.
And there must be a reason for that, because people really want, good quality stout. And in Ireland especially, we love stout. So we've some phenomenal stout brewers. Like we have Porterhouse in Dublin, for example, making some beautiful stouts.
Beautiful.
Like Seamus and Brayhon. Brewhouse, he's making the most beautiful barrel-aged stouts, and I know these guys are going to be excited to try these range of malts, because they're really good.
Yeah.
I'm excited to have these malts coming into Ireland, so it's going to be good. Just to touch a little bit more on the range, you have Cara Gold, Cara Malt. You guys actually, Doug, helped invent.
Yeah, in 1998, the BRI, the Brewers Research Institute, came here and they wanted some help from us.
Yeah.
And they said, well, actually, there's a market probably for a very low colour Cara. Yeah. And so with their help and their tasting experts, we developed Cara Gold. It's you keep the moisture down as much as possible. Yeah. As well as the colour, and that's quite an art to do that, because if you just roast it normally, you would end up with a very high moisture product, low colour, but you've got to drive off some of the moisture to help preserve it. And we developed it for the greener flavours that people wanted in some of their beers and that sort of thing. Yeah. And the much lighter colours that people were going for at the time, but it's gone from strength to strength. It started off, and at first we thought, people got really interested, and then people picked up on it, and over the years it's grown. The very pale colours, and even within the range that we do, 7 to 14 colours, some people like it at the higher end, and some people prefer it at the lower end. They can see that much of a difference even in that sort of colour. Yeah. So as for the other malts, what's the potential there? Yeah. If somebody says, well, can you do an even paler chocolate, or could you do a slightly darker just before it turns black, and that sort of thing. So there's potential there, and if any brewer wants anything, wants a nice batch of something, we can probably do it. We do the colour range from 7 to 1500. Yeah. Yeah, look, the range is phenomenal. I really appreciate your time today. I really appreciate the knowledge you've shared in relation to how to test this. I will be sharing this. Obviously, it's going to be on our YouTube channel, but I'll be making sure that I share this experience with brewers and explain to them, just how good the flavour profile is coming through this method, and also the flavour of the malt for me has been impressive. So it's a credit to you and the team here. Yeah. I didn't realise till I came here today that this is the oldest mouldings in Britain. Yes. I knew it was 330 odd years old, but I didn't realise it was the oldest. And for it still to be a family business is unbelievable. It's a really passionate thing for Deborah and I to work with family businesses. So we really do. We're honoured and really looking forward to a long and fruitful relationship representing yourselves in Ireland. So thank you. So look, from a sensory perspective, this has been awesome for me to learn a new method of getting flavours out, and the depth that the guys have gone into here in relation to the flavour wheels and charts is phenomenal. So we're going to pop some of them up on the video here. We're also going to pop a link to the blog and a link to the website where you can come and visit the website here and learn about all the flavours and different sensory experiences that you can get in the French and Jupps malt. Great, so thanks so much for watching. Please follow French and Jupps on social media, check out their website, and until next time, happy brewing.